And in this episode of Chinese Knockoffs, we're going to be taking a look at the classic mini HDMI TV game, Super HDMI Mini Entertainment System, Super Mini Super Famicom. Yes, this thing has no idea what it's meant to be. As you can see, the box has the Japanese Super Famicom style cover, along with some European labels, but it also uses the American or European Super Nintendo font. On the sides of the box, we've got the classic logo there, and we've got some more logos on that side, same on each opposite side. On the back of the box, we've got a list of all the games. Now just take a look at how many games are on that. That's a lot of games, don't you think? How many of them are repeated, I don't know, but according to the box, they should be all individual games. Pretty good stuff if it's true. So what comes in the box? Well, we've got the manual, of course. This is the manual. User manual Super Mini Super Famicom. And as you can see, it is in English or English. How good that is, I don't know because I've not bothered to read it. If you want to read it, please go ahead and do so. And also, we get two controllers with the machine. Here they are. They come wrapped up originally like this. And as you can see, they have a fairly long cable on them as well. But it terminates in the typical 9-pin style, which these Chinese clones seem to like to use. As for the pad itself, well, it's the same size as an official Super Nintendo or Super Famicom controller, and the main buttons do feel pretty much the same. They feel good actually. The D-pad is a little bit mushy, and the start and select switches are kind of mushy as well. The triggers, on the other hand, are completely different. They're clicky micro switches. Not bad, and probably an improvement over the original. The controller itself feels okay in the hands, but it does feel a little bit slippery due to the cheaper plastic used. Build quality, fairly sturdy. Doesn't seem to be flexing much, and yeah, you can't really bend it or anything, so that's pretty good quality overall. How about the actual console? Well, here it is. Isn't it a cute little thing? The Super Famicom logo is missing from the corner, and there are no text decals on it whatsoever. Of course, the cartridge port doesn't do anything. The power on and off switch does move, and your reset button does move as well. The eject button is just molded into the plastic. One thing missing off the front is the LED, which should be over here. It's gone and being placed on the front right here, with the two joystick connectors. Around the back of the console, you've got the power input, which is typical USB 5 volts, and the HDMI output. On the bottom, nothing much. It basically says model Super Famicom, input 5 volts, 200 milliamps, and made in China. But what is funny is they've actually modeled the bottom part upon a real Super Famicom, as you can see right here. See? We have the big label place and a smaller label place. And in fact, when we put these machines next to each other, you can see just how small this is. It's tiny compared to the real Super Famicom. It's so small, isn't that cute? So how good is the emulation on this thing? Well, for a start, this isn't a Super Famicom or a Super Nintendo. No, the Chinese have gone and bullshitted us in trying to make us think it's something which it's not. Now, if you took a look at the box earlier, you may have noticed in the top corner it actually says 621 8-bit games. Yes, that's right. This thing here is in fact a Famicom clone in a Super Famicom shell. Ah, typical. So we've got to see how good the emulation is on this thing. So let's connect it up to the video capture card and check it out. And one thing I would be curious about is if it really does do HDMI 1080p as it claims on the box. Okay, so let's check out if this machine really is outputting 1080p. So we take a look at the stats here, and nope, we find out it's outputting 720p. Yeah, this thing is not outputting 1080p. And also, like all these Chinese clones that use HDMI, basically it's a composite HDMI converter inside the console. They run in 16:9 as default, which is the wrong aspect ratio and everything looks like crap. So I've actually changed it to 4:3 here using the FrameMeister. So as you can see, you've got a lovely menu with so-called sections of games, although the games in those sections don't necessarily belong to the genre which they're meant to. Every time you enter one of these groups, you get a so-called something in one collection. Basically, it's a collection of ROMs which they've probably flogged off on some other Famicom cartridge. The action game here you can see is an 88 in 1. So let's take a look at the actual emulation. As you can see, this is missing the Mario logo. It's been taken away, as have Nintendo's copyright marks. But here we can see Mario Bros. 3 running, and it seems to be running very well. I mean, it's not jerky, and the emulation seems fine to me. You may have noticed though that the audio is kind of tinny. Well, that's because this console, just like all the other consoles from China with the HDMI out, doesn't record the audio properly through the capture device. Works fine on the TV, but when you try and capture the video, it skips like buggery. So what I've done is I've captured the audio directly by sticking my headphones connected to the TV on top of the microphone. Yeah, I know, not professional, but it was quick and easy to do. Plus the NES is in mono anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, let's take a look at the original Mario and let's just listen to it to see if the sound emulation is correct. Personally, I think it is, but I don't know a lot about Nintendo. Okay, so what we're going to do now is sit back and take a look at many different games featured on this console. Not all of them, of course, but a nice selection. And let's just see how good the emulation is. So what do we think of this device? Well, let's start off with the price. I've seen this going for as much as $45 shipped. This particular one cost me $29 shipped. So for the $29 clone, it's very well built. I mean, I have had the official Super Famicom Mini on this channel before, and while that does feel a little bit stronger than this is by no means flimsy. I mean, it's solidly built, it's well done. The molding is very good on it. I mean, this would make an excellent case mod. It's really solid, well put together. Unfortunately, the selection of games is not as good as you would expect. I mean, it claims to have over 600 different games on there. That's not true. A lot of the games are clones or hacks of other games. And there's some, Chinese homebrew games, or should I say Taiwanese homebrew games, which are also on there. And, they're just not that good. I mean, crap like the King of Fighters 99, which is hysterically bad. I didn't even show it. Cool intro, mind you. And, things like that Sonic, which I did show you, they're not very good. So out of the 600 odd games, I'd say probably around about 200 good games on here, maybe a bit less, maybe 150. And it's missing games which should be on here, such as Castlevania. Now, this machine cannot save data, it has no save state, no battery backup, nothing like that. So, there's no reason for games like Castlevania not to be on here. Games like Metroid, Zelda, and, other RPGs, yeah, I can see why they're not on there, because you can't save the data. But still, for the price, it's a well-built machine. The control pads are really nice. Where's the control pad? Here it is. Now, at the beginning of the video, I did say they were very flimsy. No, I didn't. I did say they were very silky to hold. But once you start playing, you don't really miss the texture. And they don't slip out your hands when you're playing. They do feel very nice. So, yeah, the controls are pretty good as well. So, should you buy this machine? Well, that's up to you. I mean, $29 is not really a lot of money. It is shipped, and you're definitely going to get a lot of hours of entertainment out of this thing. And personally, I think the emulation is pretty good. But then again, as I keep saying on this channel, I was never an owner of a NES or a Famicom. But to me, it seems like it's got pretty good emulation. Although, it's not perfect, because Gauntlet didn't work. So I'm sitting on the fence on this one. I'm not a big Nintendo fan. A Super Nintendo fan? Yes, but a Nintendo fan? Not really. I was never really into it. And because I wasn't into it when I was a child, I have no nostalgia for the console, to be honest. But don't take that the wrong way. I'm not saying the machine's rubbish. The machine is very good, and I do know it has good games on it. So if you were really into the Nintendo, then why not pick yourself up one of these?